Hello, in this lesson I'm going to take you through how to use Legion in Kali Linux to attack Metasploitable 2, which is a vulnerable web application or web server. So I'm running these in VirtualBox and I've set the NIC to internal network, and I have set the IP addresses using sudo. I'll just demonstrate that. I'll bring up Metasploitable. No, I'll demonstrate on Kali Linux instead. So if I run a terminal window, so sudo if, so super user if config ethernet 0 192.168.0.1 netmask 255.255.0. So this is on the Kali Linux machine. I ran the same command on the Metasploitable machine. Instead of 192.168.0.1, I set the IP address to 100. Then simply put in the password for super user, then ifconfig, and just to check the IP addresses have been set on both machines there. Now on Metasploitable, when you install it, it's msfadmin is the default login. So I'm just going to check I can ping 192.168.0.100 and I can ping across. So they are networked. Control C and close that window down. The next thing is to run a Firefox window or browser 192.168.0.100, the address of your Metasploitable web server, and you should see it coming up in the browser here. And you can see there's a number of tools like PHP admin, a damn vulnerable web application, and there's various databases, for example SQL, FTPs, all running on this server, deliberately set vulnerable for attack. So when we run Legion, I've already got it running here. I'll just show you here. So if I go into vulnerability analysis, you can run it from here, and eventually it'll come up with this window. And what you do is you add in the host. So when you go into the host and you add in the IP address at the top of the screen. So the IP address of the target, and then it will start a scan automatically. And it can take half an hour to scan. I think I took about 15 minutes. And it will go through all the different ports here. So to add an IP address, you just click on add host here. And then at the top, put the IP address in there. I'm just going to and then remember and submit. Sometimes this is hidden when you're in VirtualBox. I'll just cancel this because I've already done it. And it's went through and it looked at all the ports there that are available. And this is a very vulnerable web server. You can see it's telling me what the services are that are running on it. It can tell me scripts that are running, information, and sometimes it will come back with CVEs. I'm not sure why mine didn't show anything there, but this is a screenshot of the main page. And then we've got all these services here, which I'll come back to in a minute. If we come back to services here, it'll tell me exactly what services are running. And down the bottom here, if I scroll down or scroll up, it'll show me everything that it scans. So it uses the Nmap and Hydra and a few other bits and pieces to do the analysis. So we can actually brute force here using other word lists and user lists here. We just took the default scan for this demonstration. And we have other tools here as well. So come back to the default. So moving along here, if we look at SMTP, nothing there. MySQL, so just scan this on port 3306. And I actually found that there was a login called root, which isn't unknown for Linux systems. And it found that usually it will list the password if a password's been set, but I suspect that the password has been left blank here, and that's why it's not listed it there. And if we come back along, we'll look at Postgres, and we can see that it's got the login for that and the password. We come along again, there's FTP port 21, and we can see that the login and password was set to FTP and FTP for that. SMTP, nothing there. Okay, so it can be very, very useful. It does take a little bit to scan, but it's a very useful vulnerability scanner. So happy hunting, hope it helps.